we are talking about the so-called public electrical network. So depending on the countries, you will have to theoretically interact with the electrical carriers, electrical provider in your country, which will be the medium manager. So different countries have different regulation. In the US, for instance, electrical carriers are now putting themselves into telecommunications carriers over the power line cables. In France, it's more complex. In Germany, they have different parts. Switzerland, for instance, Freiburg, they have a small network there. In Africa, there is Algeria and South Africa implementing that technology for access in different parts. I've heard that in some parts where they have electrical network, they can feed BTS for GSM through power line communications, and they can have one only network on the electrical network. In terms of technology, again, you are finding the same kind of technology. So home plug AV, for instance, is used for outdoor also. It's slightly different because they have been implementing a small MAC layer for managing, because they want to be in master-slave mode. They don't want anybody to be at the same level on the architecture if they are ISP. So the master is at the core of the network, and you have slaves after the meters for each home. IEEE is now doing also a draft for outdoor implementation called IEEE BPL.
It's very, very similar to the DSL architecture, in fact. So you got the physical layer, your physical layer is almost the same because your copper and cables are very similar, but you also have work on having provisioning systems and things like that. So at home you would have, for instance, that kind of router. You put it on the public, on the emitter, and you get Wi-Fi or home plug AV on the home side.
It's supposed to be closed.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Yeah, I have one question. How well does this deal with if you have different phases? For example, you have a family house, you get 380 volts from the power company with 3 phases, and you usually don't care on which room is on which phase, but now with PLC you start to care, so how well does it work?
So usually electrical network in 3 phases mode is 1 neutral cable and 3 phase cables.
Yeah.
Of course, if the 4 cables are very close one to the other, you will have injection of the signal from one cable to the other.
No, but you get 383 phases from the outside, and then you divide it in your house into 220 volts with 1 phase. But it could be that your living room is on a different phase than your bedroom, and you want to have these 2 rooms connected. So will it work or not?
Usually you will have to use the core, the head of the network when you have your blockers and emitter. That's where you have the 3 phase going. After, it depends on the electrical network, but if somehow 2 phases are very close one to the other, you will find the signal going from one cable to the other. Another technique is to use the neutral cable, because it's the same for 3 phases. So if you inject the signal on the neutral, you're sure you will find this signal on the 3 phases. And also on electrical network, the neutral is cleaner. It's just because of the way the impedance between phase and neutral is done.
So, and the devices you can buy in the shop, they use the neutral cable or not? I mean, if I buy now three devices that I give them to my parents, will it work or not?
Of course, yes. I do not know the house of your parents, but
it's a family house which gets these 3 phases from the outside. So
I will recommend briefly to use the head of the network and use the neutral cable to inject the signal. So to find a plug that is very close from the head of the network and plug the devices there.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you very much.